mode.
All right, everybody, welcome to the new user webinar. My name is Chris Robbins. I'm going to be just organizing this meeting today. The main presenter is going to be Ian Ritter, and I'm going to hand it over to him in just a minute. Along the way, we're going to have little breakouts for questions. So if you have a question, you can either type it in the question panel, or you can raise your hand. In the attendee list, you can see where you can click on the button to raise your hand. And then if your question requires any kind of talking, I'll unmute your microphone at that time and let you go ahead and ask us the questions. But otherwise, everybody's going to be muted just to keep any kind of background noise and feedback eliminated. So this is going to be an hour and a half presentation. We'll have plenty of time along the ways, like I said, for questions and then questions at the end. We want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered before we leave tonight. Please try to keep the questions pertinent to the subject matter of the webinar tonight. And other than that, I'm going to hand it over to Ian.
Hey guys, Ian Ritter here. Glad to be here talking to you guys tonight. I can't see the attendee list yet, but I'm sure there's some new faces in the crowd, and I saw some older friends sign up as well, so very cool. Thanks for joining us. I started out here on the About Buzztouch page, just so you can see our faces if you don't know us yet. I'm circling around my face here, Ian Ritter, just so you know that we're real people out here, just like you guys. Over here is Chris. He's hosting and our resident tech strategy guy. And you can hear a couple dogs barking in the background too. Those are mine. So cool. Let's get started with a little bit of new user webinar. This is really good stuff to know, good background stuff, and stuff that you'll definitely want to know. So when you're on the forums chatting, you'll have some background. So new user webinar. So here are some questions we will answer in this webinar tonight. What is Buzztouch? What can you do with Buzztouch? How does Buzztouch work? Who is Buzztouch for? How is Buzztouch different? And where do I start? All really good questions, and we're going to get to the bottom of those tonight. So what is Buzztouch? Well, Buzztouch is open source, flexible, powerful, and professional web-based software that powers tens of thousands of iPhone, iPad, and Android applications. And by tens of thousands, we're not exaggerating. There's all kinds of Buzztouch apps out there in the wild doing very well. It also says here the Buzztouch Platform enables developers to create mobile applications and manage dynamic content within existing apps. It is used in conjunction with the iOS and Android software developer kits. And we're going to look at the iOS version tonight to make App Store, Apple apps, iOS with Xcode. And we're going to go through all of this tonight, so you'll get a little quick tutorial on how to build an app tonight. And we're founded in 2009 by IT entrepreneur David Book. Awesome guy. You'll get on the forums, you'll meet him. Awesome dude. And Buzztouch is used by more than 175,000 people worldwide, and that number is growing every day dramatically. We're very excited about that. And our headquarters are in Monterey, California. So what can you do with Buzztouch? Well, you can quickly develop mobile apps of varying complexity, and you can manage those apps with dynamic content from an online control panel. And this gives you tons of flexibility when you're building your app. You can start simple and keep adding to it. It can always be a work in progress. It's never ending if you don't want it to be. Sometimes it's good to put a rein on yourself. But with Buzztouch, you can pretty much create just about any app that you can think of. So how does Buzztouch work? Well, you create a project, add and configure your screens using plugins, and we'll go over that later too. Download your source code, open your source code and compile, and then you'll see your app running on a device or simulator. And you're going to see all these steps tonight. And Buzztouch makes it very simple. You'll enjoy that. it gets funny how easy it is to start creating something quickly, especially for non-programmers like I was a few years ago. So who is Buzztouch for? Well, as it says here, anyone and everyone with an exclamation point. And literally, it is for anyone and everyone. We have teenagers to grand folks and everyone in between using Buzztouch and having a lot of success with it. And we're all very excited around here about that because the technology is always growing. You have to stay on top of things. And Buzztouch and David Book, our head honcho around here, is always working on stuff. So you won't be disappointed. So it's also for non-developers that have no experience with code, for developers who have tons of experience but want to get a jump start on their project. They can quickly put a project together with Buzztouch and take weeks off their development time and jump right in. Web developers, Buzztouch is great for web developers so they can offer their clients not only websites and mobile web apps, but also applications. Businesses are using them to promote profits and increase business, all that kind of stuff. We've got doctors, teachers, photographers, musicians, entrepreneurs. The list goes on and on. So how is Buzztouch different? Well, first and foremost, the community. And if you haven't been on the community yet, the forum just rocks. You'll never go without a question unanswered. And actually, let's jump over to the Buzztouch site online here and check the forum out, just to give you a little tour of it. So right up along here, we're going to click on forums. Makes sense. And here we're at the forum page. On the right over here, you can see all the categories that we try to keep all the topics in order. On the left over here, you'll see some of the newest users, and I think I talked to TJ today. He became a full-on member today. Really cool guy. These are our newest members over there, so you can click on them and say hi. Right down the middle here, you'll see all the most recent topics, and you can click down here to show even more. And you'll see that these are all within the last hour already have all these replies. So if you have a question, you get stuck, come to the forum and ask your question. Another really good tool is to search the forum, and you can use that by using the advanced search over here on the left. And all of your Buzztouch screens will have your menus on the left. So that's a good little tidbit to remember. One more thing to note on the forum here is up the top here, any important changes or big messages that we want to give. A lot of times we'll post here. This one has to do with some warnings in your Xcode packages. So if anyone's seeing warnings in their projects, it's just a little update that we have to do to comply with some of Apple's new rigmarole, if that's what you want to call it, my technical term. Very good, right? Another thing is, and we'll come back to this too a little later, but I'm going to keep stressing it tonight, is to introduce yourself. This guy over here. When you sign up and when you're getting started, don't be shy. Get in there and introduce yourself and start networking, and you'll have great knowledge at your fingertips from all kinds of, from developers to non-developers, just good people you'll meet. So let's head back to our little PDF here that keeps me on track. So let's look at how is Buzztouch different. Well, you keep the code, and that's a very important, cool feature. So when you build your projects, you actually download the source code to your project, and it's yours to keep. No strings attached. No hidden agenda. It's yours to do with what you like. You can tweak it, study it, and add other features. It's really cool. You'll see. Next point here, it says some services will compile your project and supply you the finished product. That's one way to go, but we like to get our hands dirty around here. And we believe that you should compile your own projects and submit them yourselves so that there's no middleman involved with with getting your apps in the stores and making your own money. Another point here is some services will submit your app for a fee, and that's one way to do it too. But like we said, you make your project, you download it, and it's yours to do with what you please. It says here some services will charge you for the source code. Not around here. You keep the code. Everything you design and create at Buzztouch is yours to keep. And that's a fact. That will never change. So moving on. Project scalability. Some app builders allow elaborate app creation but require learning a program language. And that can be really cool in some cases. But with Buzztouch, uh, we're filling the gap for non-developers and developers, where if you don't have any coding experience, you can come here and build your app. But also, we give you the tools to learn if you choose to really delve into the code and learn what's going on behind the scenes. You can really learn a lot. Also, some app builders allow simple app creation but are very limited in function. And a lot of these type of app builders out there, because they're so simple, um, we fear that in the future and not too far down the road, because of Apple's approval process and just people's users' expectations in general, um, need to be cutting edge and always changing. So these simple app builders out there, um, I don't believe are going to make it in the long run. Also says here, Buzztouch allows you to scale your projects between these two limitations. And that's just what I was talking about, where you can build as you grow, and we're here to support you. So you can start with something simple and add more as you learn more. And and you will learn a lot. You won't even realize that you're learning so much. Um, I know I created my first app, and all of a sudden, I didn't even realize that I was starting to program my own lines of code, and that was kind of a shock to me and very cool. And that wasn't very long ago. So let's talk about plugins for a second. And this is a very important concept in the Buzztouch platform. It says here, plugins allow expandability of your project, and which is true. And this is a very cool feature of Buzztouch. Um, you'll be able to just keep growing your app if you choose so. And I'll show you the plugin store in a bit. Unlike other services, new and exciting plugins are submitted by other Buzztouch members, so we'll never be stuck with the same cookie cutter screens again. So let's head over to the plugin market on the Buzztouch site. And right along the top here, you'll see that these are all the main screens in Buzztouch. So I'm going to click on plugins. So I just had to look at my mail for a sec, make sure that no one's telling me that something's not working. Anyway, we're in the plugins market. So as you can see over here, I'm signed in as a new user guest account, and I don't have any market credit at this point. But that won't hold you back from building a free app as a guest. There's plenty of free plugins to use with your project, and a lot of them will be preloaded. But it's kind of cool to look around the plugin market and see what different kinds of screens are available for your apps. Um, and also you can see here that these are different Buzztouch members that have created plugins. They've taken the time to learn how to program a bit, and we've got some tools here that can help you get started with creating plugins. But it's pretty cool that members of the community can also create plugins, submit them for other users to use, and buy. A lot of them aren't very expensive. Um, and the important thing to remember about plugins, which are your screens in your apps, if you want to go to your menu screen, there's different kinds of menus that you can select. But once you buy or have a plugin installed, it's yours to use for life. You don't have to buy it each time you make an app. It's yours as a developer to use as many times as you like and as many apps as you like. So all very cool stuff. It's working out very, very well. So do we have any questions at this point? I know I'm flying through a little bit, but I'm kind of excited to get building a quick little app here. So let me know if we have any questions at this point about plugins or anything in general.
No questions been typed in yet. No hands are up.
Okay. I still don't see the attendee list, but I trust that you see them. So I just don't want to miss a shout out to anybody that I recognize their name. So hello, everyone. All right, cool. So no questions at this point. So you're all paying attention, or I'm boring you to death. But either way, let's move on. So where do I start? Very good question. Um, these are all really cool things to hit really quick. Explore your account menu. Set up your public profile, your developer profile, your email settings. The forum is very important, and the Buzztouch learning path. Let's head over to the Buzztouch site and take a look at these things really quick, each one of these. So as you can see, when you're logged in, and obviously if you're here, you've already created accounts, but always to access your account is up in the right hand corner here. You'll see my Joe guest account is highlighted in orange. So I'm going to click on that. And over here on the left, you'll see all my account options, my applications, my plugins, Buzztouch U. So down here at public profile, let's take a look at that quick. And these are, kind of cool things to fill in so people get to know you around here, because you'll find a lot of help, and it's good to be seen. So you can throw up your screen name there, maybe choose something out of here if you're a Buzztouch evangelist or veteran developer, lost but trying. You can put up your own avatar, put your own flavor on it. A little welcome message, so when somebody comes check out your profile, they can read something about you. Your location, that's kind of cool to put in, so they can see other users in the Buzztouch map over here. And I believe right now this is showing the latest 100 logins loading up here. So you can see all these most recent Buzztouch users around the globe. Cool stuff. So let's check out the developer profile. Again, this is in your account menu on the left here. And your developer profile is cool to fill in, so you can let people know about your skills. And one new feature that we added here, we ask you to fill in your development environment. So if you're using, whatever Mac computer version you're using, 10.8.1 maybe, your Eclipse version, your Xcode version, and you'll get to know what these things are. But it's kind of cool to fill them in, so that we on our end know what all of our users are using or not using, so we can keep the platform moving along as smoothly as possible. For visibility, all this kind of stuff you should fill in. But it's cool too. You fill in, if you have a certain skill that you want to portray to people, they can get a hold of you and, let them know how to pay you and maybe how much you charge for a fee. List your skills here, your technology backgrounds and your experience. All really good stuff. So on the left here again, we're going to click on email settings. This is all just simple stuff, but it's good to make sure that you have these things checked. And they should already be pre-checked for you, but I would double check them to make sure. When you have a private message that you get emailed, when you post in the forum, that when somebody replies. If you posted a question, you want to make sure that that somebody replied to your question. That's always a good thing. So while we're here, let's check out the forum again, because now that you've filled out your profiles, it'd be you should come over here and introduce yourself and let people know who you are. Just like TJ here, I talked to him earlier today, and really cool guy. He's got a lot of stuff on his plate that he's going to be building. He signed up as a member today, as you can see here. He's got a snazzy badge, but he just came in, said hi to everybody, and just in the last few hours, we've got everybody jumping in saying hi, let us know how we can help. So very cool. Don't hesitate to jump in there and say hi. Introduce yourself. And let's look at Buzztouch U really quick. And this learning path, all these series only take maybe 30 minutes of your time, but they're really good to jump in and get to know the platform. The Buzztouch learning path, this first one here, just takes you through some basic videos and a little quiz at the end of each, just to refresh your memory. We don't keep score around here. You don't get in trouble for a bad quiz score, but our goal here is to not just for you to make an app and be on your way, but to make an app and understand why you built that, so that you have the tools, to keep creating and to understand why you're creating something. So I've done enough talking. So I say let's make an app, and we're going to do a demonstration of making our first app right now. So with just a few steps, we'll add a few screens, we'll download the source code, we'll open in Xcode, our compiler, we'll launch it in the simulator, and that really is all it takes to get hooked. When you see the simulator pop up with your app running on it, it's a really cool feeling. And as you can see here, we're going to download and compile it. You'll be able to package it for Xcode and Mac to put up to the Apple Store, and then you can also build for Android over here on the right. And two little points to go over here: computer requirements. So when you're developing for Apple or iOS, you'll need an Intel-based Mac, and developing for Android, you'll need a Mac or Windows computer. So those are just good things to know, because you want the right equipment. You need the tools to do the job. So let's go back to the site and let's start building an app. Enough of me spouting off. So whenever you're going to start building an app, you can go to your account, and over here on the left, under your account, your applications. And over here, as you can see here, I've got a test app over here. So you'll see your list of apps in this area here. But we're going to create a new app. So I'm going to click on New App, and create a new app using the online control panel. That's where we do all of our work here online. And we need to give it a name, so let's call it User Demo App. You can name yours whatever you like. We're going to check these boxes. These are just little copyright laws, and it's nothing to scare you. It's just terms and condition. But you can feel safe in just clicking those boxes and moving along. So we submitted that, and you can see that our control panel is creating our app. And we're going to click here on Continue to this applications control panel. Sorry, taking a sip. So let's take a look at some of these features here. When you arrive after making your naming your app, you can upload an app icon. For this purpose, I'm not going to upload one just to save some time, but you can upload whatever image you would like, and you can crop it around in here, make it all your own. Core properties, let's just check that out really quick. Your application name, feel free to choose that before you download your code if you would like. Your application ID, all these numbers here are specific to your app that you're building. Your project name, and a few other things that are, you can allow prevent rotation on large devices. That's kind of cool if your app is on a smaller, if it's on the iPhone and you don't want it to rotate, you can just check that off. And there's some other settings here. They're more advanced settings that we don't need for tonight. We can save those for another webinar. but feel free to ask questions if you have any about those things. We've got our layout, we've got our non-tab layout and our tab layout. Tonight we're just going to use a non-tab layout, which is just a regular home screen menu you see. The tab layouts are the kind where the app has the buttons along the bottom, and it's super simple to create each of those. And our screens and actions, and you'll be using the screens and action page a lot. This is where you can add new features into your app. So let's say, as you can see back here, we should go over this really quick because this stumps people sometimes. In your layout tabs, you want to make sure that you have a screen for your home screen. When your app first launches, you need a home screen to display something. So make sure that you have your home screen filled out. Then you'll click Save. But we're going to go back to our screens. Along the top here, you can see that you have your app features that you can go to quickly as well. So we're going to click on Screens again, because screens are what we want to add to our app to make it interesting. So as you can see here, to add a screen, I can hit Add New. And let's say that I want to have a website screen that I want to pull up. So we can choose, we're going to choose a plugin. And this is our list. Remember when I showed you the plugin market? Those were all of our plugins that we use to make our screens in our apps. And plugins are types of screens, and you can use them over and over in an app. So a custom URL plugin to make our website screen, and we're going to add that. And if you go back to our screens, you can see that I added a website screen to our app. Now maybe I want to add a map location. Use the location map. Where are we? There we are. We'll use this location map plugin, and we'll add that to our list of screens that will be in the app. We'll go back to our screens, and now you can see that we've got our home screen menu, we've got a website screen, and a map screen. So before we go any further, I'm going to download the source code so you can really see kind of the magic and how easy this can be. So I'm going to go back to the name of our application here, and right here you can see download source code. So we're going to click on that, and I'm going to click on, I'm building for Apple. I'm going to use Xcode tonight for this presentation. If you were building for Android, you'd click on this one. So I'm going to click on prepare a package for download for Apple. And there's many ways to configure these screens. This is just my example tonight, but you'll get the gist of it. Everyone's got their workflow. So I'm going to download the zip archive. You can see it's downloading my downloads folder. I'm going to minimize my screens for a second here. I'm going to drag my folder that I just downloaded, and it unzipped it for me automatically. I'm going to drag it to my desktop so I see where it is. I'm old school like that. I like to put things on my desktop. It gets cluttered here sometimes. I'm not the only one. And I'm going to open up my folder that we just downloaded. In here, you're going to see this instructions PDF, and it's good form to open that up and give it a look over. It's not very long, but what you'll see when you open up this folder is here's your Xcode project. So let's click on that, and Xcode's firing up. You can see it over here on the left. I'll have to do my presentation at the piano next time so I can make some noise and kill some time for you while things are loading up here. So Xcode is loading. And you're seeing one of my older projects load that I had open. That's why it's taken this forever. So Xcode is loading. I've got my iPad hooked up too, so it's checking my iPad symbols, but we're going to use the iPhone simulator tonight. So while that's doing its thing, so Xcode's loading up, and one step that you don't want to forget, and it's in the instruction PDF, is we need to drag 5 folders into our project. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So I'm going to line them up just so you can see exactly the folders we need. We need the BT images, we need the BT plugins, we need the sound folder, we need the video folder, and the BT docs folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all those folders that I just showed you. My right-clicking abilities stay with me. And I'm going to drag them into our Xcode project. And you want to make sure that you see that little box go around your target there, your app name. So we're going to add that, and it's going to ask us to add them. And a lot of times I hit copy items. For this case, you don't need to, if needed. But when putting certain files into your, if certain files don't ever show up, you might want to take a look at that copy items deal right there. So we added those to our project, and with those folders added, I'm just going to click run. I've got my iPhone simulator selected here. I'm going to click on run and start compiling. Now for some users, I'm using Xcode 4.5, but for some users using 4.6, there's some yellow error warnings that show up that won't affect you actually running your app in the simulator. But these are some Apple guidelines that are being fixed, and by March 3rd we'll have all the plugins and everything updated, so you don't see any warnings. Again though, if you get stuck or have any questions, you can always go back to the forum, search the forum, or just ask your question, and you'll get help in no time. So my simulator is launching, and if you were doing this with Android and Eclipse is the Android version that we're building an iOS Apple app, but Eclipse is the Android version of this environment that we're in right now. It took a little while to find on my computer tonight, but if Eclipse and that simulator, Eclipse don't load up fast, just sit tight because it does take a while to load. Everybody with me? Everybody can hear me while this is firing up? I don't know what's going on with my computer being so slow right now, but so there we go. We've got our simulator running, and we've got our little home screen. But oh, wait a minute. There's, this. I wouldn't necessarily call this an app yet. What's its function? What are people going to do with it? So we need to give people something to do in this app. So, but the basics are that you saw that we could quickly name our app and download the source code, add those few files, and launch our simulator. So it's that simple. Buzztouch has really nailed the simplicity in getting this running for you. But we still need to make the app functional. I mean, the basic framework is running of the app, but it doesn't do anything. So let's head back to our Buzztouch control panel. And I'm going to click on my app name here. And you'll get comfortable with the website layout. In no time to be flying around here. I'm trying to slow my brain down in the meet because I usually just fly around here. So let's go back to our screens and actions. Now, in the simulator here, you can see that here's our home screen menu. And that's what we're seeing here because we said it was our home screen in the layout. But now we want to add our website screen or plugin. Our plugin is what created these screens. And our map screen, we want to add these to our menu. So all we have to do is let's click on our menu screen here. And let's give our first row a title. We have a website going on here. So website, cool. Now you can add a new screen here as well. That's another cool quick feature. Excuse me. But we already created some screens to add to our app, to our menu screen. So we're going to find in our list here, and here's our website screen that we already created. So we're going to add that to our menu. And we're going to click Add. And we created that row right there. You can see it right there. And now I want to add my map screen to our menu. So I'm going to type in map. Sweet. And we'll hit select and find our map screen that we configured. There it is right there. Now let's add that to our menu. Now we added that in our online control panel. Now I'm going to shut the app down for a second. You can see here's our user demo app right here. I'm going to click on that, and our app opens up, and it's already detected that we had some changes in our control panel, and it's asking us to refresh it. Now I'll show you in a second. Let me hit yes, and this is our aha moment. Now we see our app coming to life. We're making changes. We've added our screens using our plugins. We created these two screens to go on our simple map, on our simple menu. Sorry. Now, when you're working in your simulator, you don't always have to close the app and open it. You can hit this little refresh button up here. Now, when I click on a website, I think there's something predetermined in there, like Google. But let's go to our website screen, and we'll go back here to show you it. There's different ways to get to that screen, but let me show you the nuts and bolts way. So let's reconfigure this website screen a little bit. Maybe we want it to point to a different URL. So let's instead of Google that you saw pop up, let's just type in Buzztouch and hit save. And we can go back to our simulator, hit the refresh button, click on website, and now we'll see the Buzztouch site pop up. And there we go. And it's that simple. I mean, and the options are endless with what you can do, but I'm just giving you a brief example. You'll get in here and tinker around and be flying around here in no time, adding screens and tweaking things. So let's quickly do our map screen here. Go back to our screens. Now I want to get a location of my map. There's nowhere for my map to go right now. I click on it, and it doesn't know where to go. It's just going to show me a generic tile here, but it doesn't have a destination. We want, if I'm a business and I lead him to my website, and now I want to give him directions, we need a place to go. So let's type in New York. And you can, again, put whatever destination in you like. New York, New York, that'll work. And over here you can click this find latitude and longitude of the subtitle, which works pretty well. And there's other tools you can use to find latitude and longitude. But I'll just get in there and tinker with it. Now we'll add that. Now I'm going to refresh. Remember to refresh your simulator, or if you're testing on your phone, make sure you refresh that so you see the changes. That's a little simple mistake that you can make, that you forget to refresh your app. Now you can see that we've got a destination. And there's our pin there. And on the phone, it's easy to zoom in and get street views and all that kind of stuff. So that's some, very cool features going on here. You could even, we've got a website now, and we've got our map screen, but it kind of looks a little bland and boring. So, I'm going to want to change up my background here a little bit. And my background is what's holding these two screens, is my menu screen. So let's go to our little home screen here, our menu. And down here on each screen, you'll see a list of all these advanced options for each screen. And you can change the background color. You can hit select. It gives you the whole color palette here. Very easy to use. It's awesome. I'm on an orange kick lately, so let's go with that. And then I just hit refresh in my simulator, and I've got orange. Now it's starting to look a little more like something. Not too shabby, I say. So at this point, we've downloaded, we've created a simple app with just a few simple screens, and there's many possibilities for however you want to design your app and different ideas, what you want to make. You can be as creative as possible. And if you get stuck, don't hesitate to go to the forum and ask for help or some advice on something or some way to do something. There's so many ways to use this Buzztouch tool that maybe you didn't think of, using a screen a different way, those type of things that you wouldn't have thought of. So do we have any questions at this point?
So far, Ian, we had one question from Mike, and he asked if we download the Android project, do we have to drag the files also into the compiler?
And I'm going to say no. It's been a while since I built my Android project, but that one comes preloaded. Am I correct, Chris?
I wasn't sure. I said that there would be an instruction file in there, and I think you might have to because of the new way that the files can be downloaded from the server. All the included files can be downloaded. So I think you might have to drag those folders in. But just
Yeah, I would look. Yeah.
follow the instruction file, Mike, and we're both iOS guys, unfortunately, so we're not probably the best authorities to ask on that. But
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that the Android stuff does work well, and I have built my Android apps. It's just been a while. The only other thing is, for time's sake, I'd show you a quick example, but launching that simulator and Eclipse in general would take 15 minutes on my computer anyway. So,
right,
but but check out that PDF file when you download your source code. It'll tell you.
and I can
And
do that while you're presenting. I can do that in the background and answer that question fully in the next session here.
okay, cool.
Got another question here again from Mike. What does the publish command do?
Do you want to explain that one, Chris, a little more, or is that?
Is
I
that
know
the
you've used that. I think he's talking about live
yeah, the live versus design
design.
mode? Yeah, so in the past, what has happened is everything that you do in your control panel kind of changes everything real time. So you saw how he was changing the menu items and changing the names and changing the colors, and he could just refresh the app and it did it real time. Well, we came to a point where a lot of the users of BuzzTouch wanted to be able to make some changes in their control panel without a finished app that's out in the app market being modified. So if I had 10,000 people download this app and I start tweaking around in the control panel, it would start telling everybody to refresh, and there was no way to kind of preload changes into an app before releasing it. So starting, I guess, just last month, we implemented the live and design mode. And without getting too far into it, the basic premise of it is that you can submit an app out to the market and let people download it in its finished form, and then you can still keep on making changes in your control panel. And then when you're ready for those to actually get propagated out to the end users, you go ahead and hit that publish button, which says take all the changes that I've done since the last time I've hit this button and send them out to all the users. So it's just another way to use the power of the BuzzTouch project and submit updates or changes to your app without having to actually submit an update to Apple or Google, which is a big deal. If let's say I had a quick little typo on one of my menus, if I wasn't using this system, I'd have to recompile it, send it back to Apple, and a week later it would get approved, hopefully. But with BuzzTouch, if I find that typo, I can type it in, hit publish, and it's done instantly. So let me go ahead and open up your your mic here real quick, Mike, just to make sure that I did answer your question fully. Okay, your microphone should be active now.
Hey, Mike, can you hear us? Hey,
He's
Mike, you there?
he's
Oh,
asked another question in the meantime. Maybe he doesn't have a microphone hooked up, but in the meantime, he asked another question saying, "Cool, is there some type of revision control?" And yes, Ian, if you want to go into the app properties, it shows where the version is. The revision control is just kind of internal for you. When you submit an app to Apple, of course, you have a version that gets shown um, in their iTunes, and I guess the same thing for Google as well. But in-house housekeeping, you can keep a version number, and I think you just pulled it up now, where
yeah,
you can have that version number and change it. It doesn't really affect anything in the big picture, but it just lets you know what version it is that you're working with if you happen to look at your source code.
yeah. I look at it as a safety net when I'm making changes to my app. You know, just to make sure that I'm in design mode and not showing the world what I'm working on. If that helps them, simplify.
Right, and Mike did reply back and say that his microphone is not working. So hopefully we answered that question. Another question
Yeah.
just popped up from Ebenezer, and he's asking, under what scenarios do I use the tabbed or simple screens?
Well, that would be whatever type of app you're looking for. If you're uh, what a tabbed layout would be along the bottom. If you had a lot of menus and a lot of screens in your app, then a lot of people like to go with the tab layout because then it uh, it guides you quickly to a lot of different screens. If you understand what I'm saying. Once you start building your app and tinkering around it, and go ahead and jump in and build a tab layout and a non-tab layout and get comfy with that and see. It all depends on your app design and how intricate your app is. If you have a real intricate app, a lot of times the tab layout with the buttons along the bottom is very useful.
All right,
Good question.
that's all the questions I've got so far. I do want to throw in just another a note, something that I wanted to let everybody know when Ian was talking about what kind of equipment you need, what kind of computers you need to work on the different types of projects. Um, if you are an aspiring developer and you don't have a Macintosh yet, don't let that discourage you, and don't let that steer you towards one system or the other. Figure out what it is that you want to do. There's a lot of people that have started off with Android or started off with Buzztouch, and along the way they've either made the investment in a Mac and starting with maybe a Mac Mini for 300 or 400 bucks, or they've just made partnerships with other people in the community and had them compile apps for them. Because really, you can do everything on the website from any computer you want. It's just the final compiling that you need to do in Xcode, which only runs in a Macintosh. So I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure people can shout out on the forum if they're desperate to compile their iOS app, and they'll get some help with that.
right. I've even heard of people using Fiverr before, or some other kind of freelance site and paying somebody a couple bucks to compile their app for them and submit it or compile it and send it back to them. And um, so just keep that in the back of your mind if you're just starting out with this.
Right.
And that's all the questions so far. So I'll let you go ahead and continue on, Ian.
Alrighty. So I just wanted to cover briefly the membership. Starting in 2013, BuzzTouch changed their membership model to be both easy to understand and affordable. And as a user of BuzzTouch, you are either a guest or a member. And this was BuzzTouch's attempt at just making it, like it says here, just easier for people to understand what they're getting and what their, I don't want to say status, but at some point, you know, there has to be uh, a general idea of who gets what. So, and that's why we came up with the membership model, and it's been working very well. So let's look at the guest benefits. And even as a guest, you get a lot. You still create up to 3 apps in your Buzztouch hosted control panel. For a lot of people, 3 apps is plenty. You keep the source code for your apps you create, same as anyone else. Access to the forum, so the unlimited help and knowledge on the forum. As a guest, as a free user, you're still welcome. Access to make purchases in the plugin market. So if you're creating your free apps, you can still go to the plugin market and if there's a really cool screen that you want in your app, a plugin, um, you're welcome to come in and purchase that plugin. A lot of them are like $4.99, and you can use them over and over in your 3 free apps. And if you become a member, those will automatically uh, be in your account, so you don't have to buy them again or anything. And as a guest, you can attend public webinars such as this one, and you can attend select live events. And the live events are always cool to meet everybody in person, and just puts faces to all these names that are out there. I've been to a few so far, and everyone's just been really cool, awesome. So let's look at some of the member benefits, and these are always expanding. You can create 50 apps in your Buzztouch hosted control panel, which is a lot. Self-hosted software you have access to. This allows you to run your own Buzztouch server on your website, so you'd have your very own Buzztouch at your fingertips, and you can customize it to look however you would like. So if you have clients, you can create unlimited apps in your self-hosted server. That's the next point. So if you're a business creating apps, and a lot of members, that's what they do now with this Buzztouch platform. That's their jobs now. They became a member. They have their self-hosted version going. They have clients with multiple apps running, and um, you know each you can have logins for each client if they want to go in and give them certain screens, help them understand to update their content too. There's a million ways to use this software. As a member, you still keep the source code for the apps you create. You can send push notifications using our back end, and push notifications are a huge benefit in your apps. So you can notify even when the app isn't running. It'll, if you're having a sale or uh, what have you, you can send a notification to the user's device without the app being open, and that's a pretty cool feature to have. Very powerful. Um, as a member, you can buy or sell plugins in the plugin market, and we'll just take a look at that really quick. I'm back on the website now, and back in the plugin market. So as you can see, these plugins that were submitted by users, by members, by Buzztouch members, they're allowed now to sell these plugins in the market, and they make a nice profit off these plugins. So it's kind of a giving back and creating and all this kind of, it's a really cool growing community between the forum and the plugin market and the meetups. All that stuff is just wonderful. Next point is exclusive member-only webinars and live events, and those are really cool. A lot of times when you're a member, you'll have certain other friends, and usually by member that you probably have your self-hosted software and certain other things, in your push notifications that you're accustomed to talking about. So it's cool to meet up and chat about that stuff. You'll get a member badge to display in your forum profile to show your support. And you're privy to member-only improvements added later. There's always stuff being added, and the technology is changing. And guests get a lot of those changes too, but members get a lot of extra benefits. Do we have any questions really quick on the guests and members? Anybody out there that's not a member or wants to know anything
Uh,
about guest status?
just had a question from Ebenezer. I was typing a reply into asking about the 50 apps for members, if they are published apps or to the App Store, or if they're just demos and test in your control panel also.
Those are the apps that you create in your control panel. That doesn't mean that they're published. They're apps that you're working on.
And the only thing I'd add to that is if you needed more than 50 apps, if you got to that point, then that's where the self-hosted solution kind of helps out, and that's obviously free with the membership also, where you can have as many apps as you want on that self-hosted server, which a lot of people are setting up for as little as $5 a month with a hosting account somewhere.
Yeah, with the self-hosted software, you can sky's the limit on creating apps. And I know my hosting is only costing me $8 a month, and it's been fabulous. So technology, sweet.
And one more question I was going to say for the next break, but we'll go ahead and address it now from Paul Brown, and his question was, I'm very new to this, but for my business, I will need clients to sign contracts through my mobile device. Is the ability to actually sign a contract an example of a plugin? And are there more plugins available in the members section than the 18 I can currently see as a guest?
All the plugins are listed in the market as of now,
Yeah,
and
there's a little over 50, I believe. I just counted them up.
yeah, yeah,
And some of them you
and
can just click on install. Some of them are already free. You just have to click on install and they'll show up in your control panel. And then some of them cost, a couple bucks each.
right.
But the
And his
first part
other
of
question was,
the
yeah,
first
go
part of the
ahead, sorry.
question is the ability to actually sign a contract an example of a plugin? Absolutely. It's not one that's currently made. I know that some of the plugin developers are working on um, different types of form submission um, plugins where you can actually fill in a form and submit it somewhere. So it's obviously doable. It's just a matter of finding someone that can author that type of a plugin or learning how to do it yourself. So let me go ahead and open Paul's mic real quick to see if he's got any follow up questions. All right, Paul,
Hi.
if you got a microphone active, you are ready to talk.
Hi. No, I don't have any follow-up questions. Thanks. That actually answered everything. I have to
Okay.
figure out how to do it myself, I guess.
Okay. Great. I'm gonna
Or
mute.
yeah, or that plugin is in development that he's talking about. So to sign documents,
Right.
correct? Right.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't think that would be too hard to do. It's just a matter of someone actually doing it. It's all
Right.
easy until you sit down and do it yourself, right? And while we're on the subject of plugins, Ebenezer asked another question: is there a plugin for interactivity? Example, a quiz. And yes, that's one of the ones that's actually built into the control panel is the quiz plugin. So
Yep.
that is a good question, and that is a good one, especially for an iOS app where Apple sometimes wants to see interactivity, and that's exactly what it's there for. So good questions all around.
Yeah, the quiz plugin comes even as a guest. You have that free, and that's for iOS and Android. It's like a multiple choice quiz, and very useful, flexible too. You can change all kinds of features in it.
All right,
Any other questions?
I believe that's it for right now.
Okay. And I mean that covers a lot of the new user stuff. I mean, we've had you'll see, I think we've used this picture here on our new homepage on Buzztouch, and just all kinds of success stories um, throughout the past almost 2 years now going. Um, Serge and Tim and Dylan, I can go on and on about these guys and others, but again, I keep stressing the forum, but get on the forums and introduce yourself and ask questions because you'll quickly learn what is capable with the platform, and you'll meet some really cool people and meet and make great friends that will help you get through your app creating process. It's that's the most excited I get is talking about the forum, just because it's so helpful. I mean, I go there daily you know, I'm very comfortable with the platform, and I still get questions in my own head about, you know, altering code and all that kind of stuff. And there's always somebody there to answer some questions. So it's very cool. I flew through this one, but is any more questions? I guess this would be a good time for any extra questions. We built the app. I mean, I can add some more screens if you'd like, anything like that, or any other questions. We covered the basics tonight. Um, and there's other webinars that you can check out that'll cover more advanced topics, and especially some of the member webinars. David Book hosts a lot of those, and he goes into technical details on a lot of things. And of those, a lot of Q&A sessions where you can get a lot of great ideas and examples from David on coding and stuff. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions typed in or any hands up right now.
Okay.
Wait, here's one just coming in. How do we deploy our app to our personal phone? That's from Mike.
That's a good question. We can look at that really quick here. What you'll need is to set up an Apple developer account. That's for Xcode here for iOS. So you'll sign up with the Apple, and I believe you do have to pay the $99 for the membership for Apple. But with that, gets you access to the App Store, you know, where you can sell your apps and make your money. You can use iAds, all that kind of stuff. And even as guests, you can put ads into your apps and start making money, even in a free app, make decent money running iAds in the App Store. But as you can see here, I've got my iPad hooked up. This app, I don't have a code signing, it's called, but yeah, it might be a little much to get into right now about the code signing an app. But if you make your, well, long story short, you'll need your Apple developer account so that you can hook your device up and other people's devices to test outside of the simulator. Yeah, I don't have anything loaded around here right now that I can show you running on my device. Anything to add to that, Chris? I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, if it's if you're talking about Android, then it's very easy. You just have to set up your Android device to allow, you know, third-party apps in the settings, and you can compile an APK file, I believe it is, and you can just drag that into your phone and run it and test it and give it to your friends and do whatever you want with it. Put it on the website.
Right.
For Apple, yeah, you do have to. You can do all the simulation you want with Xcode. Xcode is free. All the simulator use is free once you sign up as a developer, but just signing up as a free developer. But to get anything onto a test device, you do need to pay that $99 for the year. And let's see.
And if you get stuck with that process, there's plenty of information in the forum and in the how-to section to help you get through that little process.
Right, and I guess Ebenezer is kind of adding on to that question also. He says that he uses an Android phone, but his wife uses an iPhone, and he tried to deploy an app on her phone and had problems with the iTunes account. Now, what you would do with that, um, with her phone, you would want to set that up in your iTunes set in your developer account at Apple as a development device. And once you do that, you have to code sign it. And like Ian said, that's a longer story than not, but you have to code sign it in Xcode the right way to make it instead of a test or instead of a development profile, you need to make it a deployment distribution profile. Sorry. And that means that it can actually run on a device. If you don't sign it as a distribution um, binary, then it won't ever run on any device. It will only run in the simulator. So that could be one thing. The other thing is kind of stumbling through the provisioning portal at Apple, and you can actually do an ad hoc installation. I did that many times where you just want it to run on one device or a handful of devices, and you can code sign it to be an ad hoc installation, but you have to tell Apple which device it's going to be on, and it's going to be one of your development devices, and you have to tell it which app that you want deployed on there. And you can probably find a tutorial for that. Actually, their step through inside iTunes Connect is pretty good.
Yeah, you'll need to go in your Apple developer account once you get the Apple membership, and in your provisioning, you can set up you can add your devices to your profiles, so they'll load on your test devices. You can see here my list of friends and relatives that I send them test builds. So it's easier than it sounds. It's hard to explain right now without actually doing a whole separate webinar on that. But there's a lot of information on the forums about it.
All right, there's no more questions right now. Hey, do you want to go in since we got the time and just go ahead and change that app to a tab layout, and then that might
Sure.
spur another couple questions.
And now we already have our simulator running here, which is the cool thing. So we're all up and ready to go. We already downloaded our source code. So you would kind of think, oh man, I've got this simple menu list, which can be very effective too, but you want a tab layout, and it's really just as easy as going back into your control panel here in your applications, and I see my user demo here. I'll click on that one, and I'll go to my layout, and now I want to delete this one from the non-tab layout, and that what was here was this simple menu screen that we were using that you saw. So let's click on tab layout, and we'll need some screens to fill in for our tab layout, and I'll just use some of our predefined screens for that. So maybe one tab will be our website screen. I don't have any icons. I think, can I skip the icon? I can't remember. And another one will be our map. And then you can see here we've got 2 tabs already down here to click on. And I don't have any icons loaded, but you can have your little predefined icons here that you can add in your control panel. But all it was just, and I can click over here now, and let's add another tab at the bottom there, our little menu. We'll hit save, and we'll just refresh our app, and you'll see that we have another tab along the bottom as well. And it was that simple to change these things up, and that's the beauty of the Buzztouch control panel and having your simulator open and running, is that you can do all this stuff on the fly and quickly see what you like and don't like. You can just keep creating different screens. I think I made a little email screen. I don't know what I called it. But you can select your screens here. But is everyone understanding? It sounds like everyone does, but the connection between the control panel and the changes that are happening in your simulator, is everyone's understanding all of that?
They must be. There's no questions.
Awesome. And it's that simple. I mean, once you get that source code downloaded and you have your app running, whether it's Android or iPhone, as we're using iOS, the iPhone simulator right now, but it's that simple that you can just keep refreshing your app your simulator, and you can refresh it on your device as well. When you get it loaded, the project to test on your device, you'll have the same option here to refresh. Now, say the app was out in the wild and you did want to publish changes. Maybe you made a change to a screen that you do want your users to see. Well, then the user, they'll have their app closed, and then you know, you made a, say you made a change, and I'll just hit save here for the sake of saying we made a change. But now the next time a user goes to your app, you know, if they weren't using push notifications to know that there was a change, but at least you could, they would open up their app, know that you made a change, and they would see this prompt if you chose that direction, and you would hit yes, and they would see whatever changes you configured. So that's another kind of powerful feature of doing things on the fly. Like, your users could see these things if you chose to do changes on the fly like that, and it's very useful in a lot of situations. But it was that simple, just to go in and say, nah, heck, I want to mess around with my design. Let's see what it looks like in a tab layout. You know, it was that simple. I went to my layout screen here in the control panel, and right above it you see the non-tab layout, and you don't want to have a name in there. A warning will pop up. David Book and Buzztouch did a great job at a lot of safety precautions. If you filled in the wrong thing, you really can't break anything. You know, you'll only keep moving forward with Buzztouch. You can't. There's no complete destruct, blow up the planet button. You can keep tweaking things and make changes, save things. You know, I can go on and just keep adding screens and build, you know, any amount of screens. You know, here's all the screens that came preloaded in my guest account, and there's all kinds of ways to use these different screens. You know, menu buttons are cool to use, to have buttons on the screen. The call us feature is a nice simple plug-in, but you know, you can use custom HTML and have I want to call them little programs running inside of your HTML that'll show up and do cool things. So there's a lot of power even in these just simple screens here. You know, at first glance you might think, well, how am I just going to use it like that? But another, you know, I keep talking about the forum, but that's a very powerful tool to have at your fingertips. Is go to the forum, and somebody will, you know, you'll have a question, you'll be like, I really want to do this, and maybe you're not seeing in one of your screens how you would do that in your mind, and somebody will say, well, just use the custom HTML screen, and here's some code, plop that into the screen, and you know, all of a sudden you have this different interactive screen that you never thought you would have. So there's just a lot of flexibility, and it's about, you know, being creative and spending time, you know, getting your hands dirty and asking questions. Get on that forum and use it. It's an awesome tool, and there's amazing good people and great minds that are ready to help. It's unbelievable.
And one more question here real quick from Ebenezer. I think he's referring to the tab layout that you just set up. If you want to go back in the control panel on the where you set up your tabs, his question was, what shows up on the app when someone opens the app? Should the home screen be on the first button?
That's a good question, and actually, you know, for all intents and purposes, you know, maybe it's, yeah, the home screen will be your first button, and that will display your refresh icon. So, you know, good eye on your part. What you're probably thinking is, well, shouldn't that menu be over on this button? And then probably so. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, how you would like to set up your app. But this first tab, that would be the screen that opens up, and there's different ways to get into the code and trick it into thinking different things. But to get up and running, yes, your first screen would be your first tab would be your home screen in this quick scenario. And I could make my menu screen my first screen just like that. See, now I've got my menu there, and I just want to change my label. I hit save. And now I'm back over here, and I got my menu loaded up here. Good to go. It's just fun to, spend a few hours just tweaking things and understanding how it all works. And a lot of the properties in the plugins are very easy to understand, and to see these changes happen in real time saves a lot of time. And what you're seeing in this simulator, in this iOS simulator, you're guaranteed to see on your phone or your iPad. Um, and in Xcode too, when you get that downloaded, if you haven't already, um, you'll be able to switch. Let's see how fast it switches over, but you'll be able to check out your iPad version in the simulator as well to have your images configured and different things like that. Tons of flexibility. It's definitely Buzztouch has made it, taken a lot of work out of it, but to be creative and succeed, it still takes a little bit of effort. And if you put a lot of effort in, you'll get even better results. When I first started using Buzztouch, I sat around for hours just changing screen colors and navigation bar colors, and all of a sudden your app comes to life.
And the best part of that whole thing is that the only thing that Ian had to do in Xcode itself was hit that one run button. He didn't have to
Right.
type any
Yeah.
code in to make any of those changes at all.
Nope.
Now, the true fun comes in when you learn how to do all the extra stuff in Xcode, and you can do even bigger and better things. But starting off, there's no easier way. Trust me, I've looked.
Yeah, we've all done that. We've all ended up here after hours and days of trying to figure this app game out. But this is my iPad just kind of blown down. But your simulator is a very good representation of what's going on your devices. Apple did a really good job at these simulators. Really cool stuff. I mean, I can geek out on this stuff all day, and I'm lucky that I get to. So, any other questions? Anything I can do or add? Any questions about other plugins or features or member benefits or?
Not seeing any hands or any questions. There's just a little memo from Mike saying, "Great job, guys! I'm excited to create my first app this weekend and anticipate becoming an active member soon afterwards."
Awesome. Don't forget, Mike, that even as a guest, you're more than welcome around here. You've got 3 free apps to make. Of course, we encourage memberships, but as you grow, you'll see the value of the membership where there's other features that you'll want to use. But there's a lot of guest-made free apps out there doing very well. I still have some of my very first free apps out there being downloaded over 40,000 times so far. It's kind of cool. So, but don't be afraid to say hi in the forums. I'll be looking for you.
Got a question here from Newton saying, "How soon does Buzztouch update its code after iOS or Android is updated?"
We try to do that as fast as possible. This last update, I think, is taking. David takes the brunt of it. I would say, a couple weeks to get all the errors out, and that didn't hinder anyone from being able to test and work on their apps. That's just us keeping up to speed with all the changes that Apple makes. So,
Right, and
all the latest.
they were mostly warnings, not errors. So they were
Yeah,
just
no errors. Yeah.
depreciations and stuff like that that just let you know that there's a new version out there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
even with those, even with if you ever see yellow warning signs, of course you don't really want those in there, but your app would still compile and run, and you would most likely get it submitted to the App Store anyway. But we try to keep everything really tight around here and up to speed. So
and one note on that, we're getting better at documenting the changes that we make to our source code as needed, as these changes are needed. But it's always a good idea as you're working with your app. Let's say you download the source code like Ian did in this case and make all your changes. And let's say it's a really intense app and it takes you about a month to make. It'd be a good idea to go ahead and re-download the source code to make sure that you have the newest source code, and then you can just drag all of your assets back into it and recompile it at the very end. That way, you know that you're using the latest version of your compiler and the latest version of the source code, and uh, and you won't have any problems then.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of, thinking and work involved, but again, that's why all these Buzztouch apps out there succeed, because they're not cookie cutter type apps, and that they do, they're, it's yours to control and keep. You don't have to worry about, the middleman and where's the code and who did what. I mean, and you've got the form and all of us here around the clock. Here's an example in the form. We were just talking about iOS and updates. At the top header here, by March 3rd, basically what this is saying, by March 3rd, we'll have all those little yellow warning errors in Xcode 4.6 all squared away. And those yellow warning errors they're not errors, they're just warnings. Um, they're just there to let you know that that Apple's changing up their way that they do things again. And by March 3rd, we'll have everything all sorted out. Most of it's already done. That's the day that he's going to update all the files.
Right. And Ian, can you pull up your simulator again real quick? You still have the iPad simulator running?
Now I was going to switch over the iPad. Do you want the iPad one up again, or does it matter for you? Or
Yeah, if you can pull up the iPad one.
yeah.
Um, One of the questions on here is it possible to rotate the simulator to see what it looks like in landscape?
Oh,
So the iPhone
yep.
one wouldn't make a difference at this point. So the iPad one does.
Yeah, it's coming. There we are. I'll refresh it just to make sure that's my latest thing. It is. And I usually just go up to hardware. You can use the command keys, but I just go up to hardware. If you clicked on your simulator, make sure you've got it up here to get to the controls. But I can rotate it left, and it rotates just like an actual iPad. I mean, everything that you do on here is a great representation. So you don't need to pay the Apple developer fee yet. You can download Xcode, uh, you know, and get started in creating and see how you like the thing. We're not pushing anything. We want you to create something cool. And even with your free account, you can see how, with your guest account, see how powerful Buzztouch is. And these Xcode simulators are fantastic. I mean, they rotate just like your iPad and iPhone. And
And just as a quick note to the other viewers who are watching this, any lag that you see in his rotation, that's just simply a lag of the screen sharing of the webinar. There is really no lag as you're rotating your device around in the
yes,
simulator.
right. And also, I believe I'm actually positive that as far as iPad Mini as well, you're all set to go. When you're making your app, it scales. The resolution's the same
Right.
as the iPad, so it scales. You're good to go across those devices as well.
And
Let's
Ebenezer
see.
asking another question. Says he learned from the other webinar that physics is not yet developed in BuzzTouch, the physics engine. Is there any issues we should know about? Any gotchas? I've been around and I think BuzzTouch is tops. Please advise. So no, I don't. There is no pre-built physics engine in BuzzTouch yet. I know someone's working on a game plugin, but it's not using physics. I think it's using tile sets. So that's something that just hasn't been implemented yet. I'm not sure what it would take to get that done.
Yeah, I don't know if Ebenezer's asked those kind of questions on the forums yet, because somebody might pop up that might want to, lend him a hand with that or give him some insight into that. Any other, you want to explore the plugins a little more? We have a few minutes left. Any other questions?
Let me have you go back to the control panel real quick. Just
All right.
wanted to show one more thing in the layout tab again.
I'm going to go to my account, click on my applications, and find my user demo app, my layout tabs. Okay. This is
So
where you want me?
yeah, the last place that Ian left it was having the 4 tabs on there. Um, just expand the non-tab layout up there so you can see the full box. If you were using a non-tabbed layout, of course, you'd have to delete everything out of the bottom and hit save because you can't have things in both boxes and both tables. But when you select it, when you start it off, it starts off with that home screen menu, that simple menu as being the home screen that he had before. Once you
Right.
start developing your app, you can have any screen that you want be that home screen, and that's where you would select it. You would use that select button and pull up any screen. So usually I'll start playing around with an app and start adding screens, start connecting those screens to a new fancier menu or something, and then I'll go ahead and select that menu as my new home screen and just delete out that old list menu, that simple list menu. Because there's a bunch of really neat looking menu screens in the plugin section now.
Yeah, in my next webinar, I want to show off one of those other screens, one of those other menu screens. Some really cool stuff going on in the plugin market.
Um, Another question from Khaled, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, asking about the button layout plugin and when it rotates from portrait to landscape that the buttons don't line up. That's simply just a matter of that particular plugin, how it defines those buttons. And I wish I could pull up a one of my examples to show you, but I'm not on the correct computer. If you get the spacing right, I do a 2x2 menu, and if you get the spacing right, you can rotate it and they'll stay 2x2. But most of the times, if the buttons are smaller, you'll end up having more wide, and you kind of have to play around with it. It is possible also to kind of customize that plugin if you know how to get it to work. Um, but yeah, that you're seeing a frustration that many people have seen with that particular plugin, and that's why it's one of the simple plugins that come pre-built into it.
Is that he's talking about the regular menu screen here, or the button screen, like I have in my simulator now?
Right, right. If you were
Yeah,
to
yeah. That's just tweaking those numbers and getting it to sit how you like.
if you were to open that on an iPad and rotate it, it may not be 3x4 anymore. It may go some different configuration. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Right, right, right.
And for the record, I did pronounce his name correctly, so that's always good.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, here's a good example of an app that I'm working on for a client. They have this. Uh, it's a Spanish to English course, and we're launching this very soon. And this is just the home screen. It's going to be all in Spanish. But when I'm just using a lot of simple screens with Buzztouch, and the client's very happy. Um, I'm getting paid well, and everybody's happy. Um, but just using the simple menu button screen, going to a simple menu layout, really, pl playing some of their videos, their tutorials, and then after each lesson, they're going to take a quiz. And all this is actually in Spanish once the all the files are changed, but they can take their quiz and do all that kind of stuff. And there's tons of ways to use the platform. And I chose, of all the plugins, there's many ways to set it up, but I chose to go with a simple setup, um, where it was very self-explanatory. A lot of times, it can be over-designed. So I just went with a simple. Here's the free version. Of course, the paid version has all the screens, but this is just giving the user, some information. They're going to tap on here. In the free version, they've got this whole first section uh, that they can use for free and take the quiz. And they've got iAds down here. You can see the promo for iAds running down here. So they'll make some money in their app, even off the free version, while they promote their paid version. And these buttons with the lock on here are going to lead them to the App Store where the paid version is. So there's just many ways to do this, and my clients are very happy with it. And it's even rotating acceptable on the screen. It's off just a little bit here. I'm going to work on that inside the coding. But, everybody's happy with the product, and it works very well. It took me longer to edit the video lessons than it did to put the app together. So it's very cool.
All right, and that pretty much expires our time for now for this particular webinar. And as always, you can come to as many of these as you want. Just because you're not a new user, you can still come to the new user ones, because you never know what questions are going to come up. And if you have a question that's still sort of new user related, then feel free to drop in and ask the question. It's our absolute pleasure, Ian and I, to do these webinars, because it's something that we feel is important to let you guys know what Buzztouch is all about, how it works, how easy it is, and really just prove to you guys that, Ian didn't mention this before, but we do work for Buzztouch, but we didn't always. We just started just recently. We were Buzztouch users for the last 2 years, and just so impressed by the product that we've stuck along and built our businesses around it, and proven to ourselves and to many others that this product does work, and it's worth sinking our time into. So we love doing these webinars. And Ian, any closing words?
Nope. I just want to encourage everyone to get on the forum and say hi. So you'll see me pop up and say hi back, and some of the top minds of Buzztouch at this point that are very familiar with the platform will be the first to jump in and say hi. So you'll make your connections that will be lasting, so you can finish your project and move on to the next. And if you're building for clients, you don't have to be afraid to take some clients, because you have the forum and extra help to get you where you need to go. It's all good.
Great. So thank you everybody for attending this webinar, and thank you also for the many thanks that you have typed into the question portal that Ian can't see, but I'll relay on to him all the thank yous that you guys have typed in. And with that, we wish you a good evening or a good day, depending on where you're at.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.